Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So, of course we know Netflix Avatar, the release date and the teaser trailer has been the big news, but there is a few other little bits of pieces of news that I think it's important to highlight that might slip under the radar with the focus on this massive kind of trailer for the live action show. But first, I do want to just mention that I do have a live stream coming up tomorrow, November 12th. It's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Ireland time. So that will be 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Link below. If you click the link, it'll open up kind of this window here, and it'll tell you exactly here what time it's going to be starting in, how many hours to go, and it will say November 12th. Whatever time in your region as well. So it's in or around the usual time I always do my streams at, so if you've been to them before, you know what to expect. And as you can see from the thumbnail here, it is going to be Azula in the Spirit Temple discussion. I've done my non-spoiler review months ago. I did my spoiler review. Now it's time to discuss it with everyone else on the stream. So I think everyone's been waiting for this for quite a while. I'm excited for it myself, but do be aware, tomorrow is when that stream is happening. So yeah, just to quickly obviously go over it, obviously the big Netflix news has come out. I kind of want to highlight here the official Avatar The Last Airbender Netflix account. They actually do have an account. I think people might have missed this, so definitely follow this if you just want Netflix Avatar news. They seem to post pretty much everything of note here. But yeah, they have screenshots up. Of course, the trailer itself is up on Twitter, YouTube, wherever. And I've done content to cover this quite heavily. I did a live stream with more kind of a reaction style discussion with everyone, and I did a trailer breakdown yesterday. So already done my coverage on this, just to mention this in case you happen to have missed it. But I don't think anyone has missed this. Like what? It's got like what? When I checked yesterday, like what, 5+ million views on the trailer on YouTube. So like it's doing exceptionally well. That's the kind of big takeaway here, is it is hugely popular. I think at one point I heard like it's the, what was it? It was the #1 most trending video on YouTube yesterday. So huge stuff happening with that. But here is the other news. So obviously big thing happening next week. And that is the release of Avatar The Last Airbender Book 1 Water, music from the animated series. So November 17th, not the 21st, 17th is going to be the release date for the soundtrack. That's going to be both digitally on all the kind of standard platforms, but also the vinyl will release on the 17th as well. They're the only two ways you can get it. Vinyl is the only physical option, and then digital is everything else. But what this news is that Jeremy Zuckerman is going to be doing a signing for the vinyl on Tuesday, November 21st, 7 p.m. in LA, specifically this address here. Now, this is obviously an event that you can choose to go to if you want. It still seems like there are, I guess, like tickets available for it. And so the idea here is it's around, what, $50, give or take. And you get a copy of the vinyl. So you are buying with this ticket a copy of the vinyl. And I guess there is some sort of a charge just for the signing itself. Because I think this is happening in a Barnes & Noble, and I think it was the price on Barnes & Noble for this is $45. So there's like a, you know, I guess a slight extra charge because it is a signing. But if you are in the region here, or can get to this region pretty easily, this seems like a really cool thing to do, to get a copy of already a bit of a collector's item, I guess, the vinyl, because the print run doesn't seem maybe huge. I don't really know the details necessarily. But having a signed copy of this after waiting so long for the soundtrack stuff to happen, this seems like a really cool thing. So just to be aware of that for anyone, I guess, in the LA region. Here it is, a link below to this Eventbrite page if you want to kind of get a ticket. Obviously, a lot of people, this will not be an option, but a lot of people are just going to be happy next week to listen to the soundtrack and get the vinyl if you have it ordered. I don't really know what way I'm going to cover it. I have ordered this, but because I've had to order from America, I'm not expecting my copy of the vinyl next week, so that's going to be probably weeks delayed. But still, I'll try to do something, maybe just to highlight in news what my thoughts on the soundtrack actually is. Then the final piece of news, a little bit of a kind of disappointing piece of news here, a delay for The Bounty Hunter and the Tea Brewer. So previously the date was May 14th. When the listing first went up, that was its original date, May 14th. Dark Horse was even posting about this, that, oh, it's coming out in May. But as you can see here, the date is now June 4th, 2024. So that is a 3-week delay exactly, basically. Unfortunate, as usual, no reasoning given behind this delay. But based on what we know, based on recent delays, this is more than likely just a scheduling delay, like logistics basically associated with scheduling the printing of the book. That seems to just be a continuous thing in comics, books, publishing in general, is that scheduling stuff is still a little bit off from COVID, just because of how big of an interruption that was. And even though it's, you know, a couple of years on from the worst of it, it still is something that kind of there is a bit of a pile up, and I think publishers are still struggling to place dates accurately ahead of time, which is what seems to be responsible for most of these delays, because historically most Avatar comics never have issues that relate to sort of like the creative teams being like done on time or anything like that. So it always does tend to be either printing stuff, getting the physical copies ready on time, or like final stage of the book is kind of ready to go, shipping it out to all of the stores for a specific date. That's where most of the delays seem to come from. Hopefully this is just a kind of final adjustment type thing of like, they waited, they felt like May was locked in, they can't quite make it. The hope here is that this doesn't become like a monthly thing as it has done in the past for certain books like Patterns in Time, the Chibi comic Aang's Unfreezing Day, where there was a certain point last year where it felt like every single month there was an update to the release date, and these books were getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and in some cases by really large amounts, like multiple months at a time. In some cases it was just continuous 1, 2, 3 week delays. So hopefully this book doesn't begin to suffer from that, and it's just a adjustment early on, and we'll stick to this overall. Because I think the problem that we mainly have with stuff like this is the start of 2024 is not looking super great. Outside of basically this, February 22nd for Netflix Avatar, there's not a lot happening early on next year for Avatar. Maybe there's a chance they properly make some sort of an announcement about Avatar Studios, but a lot of books aren't necessarily scheduled for early in the year. Like Free Comic Book Day in May. This book is now coming out in June. The Roku novel is now August. The Mako comic doesn't even have a date yet, but that will be expected probably more towards the 3/4 point to the very end of the year. So we're probably looking at like August, September, October, November, maybe even December if that book gets delayed when it gets released. We don't know what the situation is with regards to, like, say, the book to follow up this, because June still leaves 6 months in the year left, and 6 months is in or around the time that they usually have as the gap between books. So we might see the third, I guess it's going to be the 6th Avatar one-shot that might get announced and just about slot in at the end of the year, but we don't know what the situation is ultimately. We're still waiting to see what happens here. So yeah, just a frustrating thing. Obviously there's a bit of other stuff going on, like when will Magpie announce the next kind of book for the Legends RPG? That would probably be expected next year, but it's very much that, like, for the first, outside of Netflix Avatar, not a lot in like January, February, March, April, May maybe is where we get going. but it's looking like, yeah, we're going to be probably waiting for like the Comic Cons next year and stuff like that for announcements. And that's just frustrating as we, kind of continue to go on and still not really have news about Avatar Studios. It just feels like the Avatar comics, Avatar publishing can't quite get as much on track as I think we fans really want it to, and it's just unfortunate to see the consistent struggles to kind of get things going. And it's the fact that it seems like at this point it's going to take until maybe like 2025 for them to finally get back on track, but there still seems to be problems, is never a really good thing. But it's difficult to complain too much about delays, just because like there's nothing we can really do about it. If there is a scheduling problem related to logistics, like we as fans can't really do anything about that. Still, book is still coming out. It is just a 3-week delay, but I think it's important that people know about this stuff. That is what's happening here. So yeah, that has been the news update for now. Like I said, of course, the soundtrack is next week, so that's probably going to be the big news for next week, is the release of this, how it all sounds when we get to hear everything. But otherwise, let me know what your thoughts are. Are you going to be on the joining me on the stream tomorrow? Any further Netflix Avatar thoughts? Anyone out there, are you going to be attending the Jeremy Zuckerman signing? And of course, the release date change for Bounty Hunter and the Tea Brewer. So yeah, that has been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. That's been it. Thanks for watching, and bye.